In the heart of South Texas stands a fortress, a place designed to contain the most dangerous criminals, a place meant to be inescapable. Yet, in December 2000, this very fortress became the stage for one of the most audacious prison breaks in American history. This is the story of the Texas 7. On a cold winter's day, 7 inmates at the John B. Connolly unit executed a meticulously planned escape, outsmarting guards and breaching the prison's defenses. Their bold breakout and the nationwide manhunt that ensued captured the attention of the nation and sent shockwaves through the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Who were these men? How did they manage to orchestrate such a daring escape? And what changes did this infamous event bring to the Connolly unit and the entire prison system? Join us as we delve into the gripping tale of the Texas 7, an escape that forever altered the landscape of prison security and left an indelible mark on the history of the John B. Connolly unit. George Rivas, born May 6, 1970 in El Paso, Texas, was a high school dropout who quickly turned to crime. By his mid-20s, he was orchestrating sophisticated robberies. In 1993, his string of violent armed robberies across Texas led to his arrest and conviction, resulting in 18 life sentences for crimes including kidnapping and aggravated robbery. His violent streak and leadership skills made him a key figure within the Connolly unit. Joseph Garcia, born November 6, 1971, in San Antonio, Texas, escalated from minor offenses to murder. In 1996, he was convicted of stabbing a man to death in a drunken altercation and sentenced to 50 years in prison. His desperation for freedom made him a willing participant in the escape plan. Michael Rodriguez, born October 29, 1962, in Dallas, Texas, was a former high school teacher who hired hitmen to murder his wife in 1992 for insurance money, leading to a life sentence for capital murder. Randy Halprin, born September 13, 1977 in McKinney, Texas, had a troubled childhood marked by abuse and neglect, spiraling into crime. Convicted of beating an 18-month-old child while babysitting, he was serving a 30-year sentence for injury to a child. Larry Harper, born September 10, 1963 in Corpus Christi, Texas, began with burglary and escalated to aggravated sexual assault, receiving a 50-year sentence in 1999. Known for his volatile temper, he was a dangerous addition to the escape team. Patrick Murphy, born October 3, 1961, in Dallas, Texas, had a history of aggravated sexual assault and burglary. In 1984, he was sentenced to 50 years for a series of sexual assaults and had frequent disciplinary issues in prison. Donald Newberry, born May 18, 1962, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, was steeped in crime from a young age. Convicted of aggravated robbery, he was serving a 99-year sentence. Known for his cunning and resourcefulness, Newberry became central to planning the escape. By December 2000, these 7 men, despite their diverse backgrounds, shared a common desperation, a desire for freedom at any cost.
History is on their side. In most cases, prisoners who pull off daring escapes end up getting caught. The danger is what happens in between. Here's Carter Evans.
They became known as the Texas 7, a group of violent convicts who, in 2000, escaped from a maximum security prison outside San Antonio. They overpowered guards and stole their uniforms to get free.
Inside the Connolly unit, the Texas 7 began to hatch their plan. Utilizing Rivas's leadership and each member's unique skills, they meticulously crafted an escape strategy. They manipulated prison routines, exploited security lapses, and gathered the necessary tools for their break. On December 13, 2000, the 7 carried out an elaborate scheme and escaped from the John B. Connolly unit. At the time of the breakout, the reported ringleader of the Texas 7, 30-year-old George Rivas, was serving 18 consecutive 15-to-life sentences. Michael Anthony Rodriguez, 38, was serving a 99-to-life term for contracting the murder of his wife by Rolando Ruiz Jr., who was later executed for the crime on March 7, 2017. Larry James Harper, 37, Joseph Garcia, 29, and Patrick Henry Murphy Jr., 39, were all serving 50-year sentences. Donald Keith Newberry, 38, the member with the longest rap sheet in the group, was serving a 99-year sentence. Randy Halpern, 23, was serving a 30-year sentence for injury to a child and was the youngest member. Using several well-planned ploys, the 7 convicts overpowered and restrained 9 civilian maintenance supervisors, including their boss, 4 correctional officers, and 3 uninvolved inmates at approximately 11:20. The escape occurred during lunch and at count time, the slowest period of the prison day when there was less surveillance of certain locations, such as the maintenance area. Most of these plans involved one of the offenders calling someone over while another hit the unsuspecting person on the head from behind. Once each victim was knocked unconscious, the offenders removed some of his clothing, tied him up, gagged him, and placed him in an electrical room behind a locked door full of electronics, including warning alarms. The attackers stole clothing, credit cards, and identification from their victims. The group impersonated prison officers on the phone and created false stories to ward off suspicion from authorities. After this first phase, 3 of the group made their way to the back gate of the prison, some disguised in stolen civilian clothing. They pretended to be there to install video monitors. One guard at the gatehouse was subdued, and the trio raided the guard tower and stole numerous weapons. Meanwhile, the 4 offenders who stayed behind called the prison tower guards to distract them. They then stole a prison maintenance pickup truck, which they drove to the back gate of the prison, picked up their cohorts, and drove away from the prison. Rodriguez's father, Raul, had provided the men a getaway car. For this act, he was later convicted of escape and providing implements for escape. The white prison truck was found in the Walmart parking lot in Kennedy, Texas. The Texas 7 first entered San Antonio right after breaking out of the complex. Realizing that they were running out of funds, they robbed a Radio Shack in Pearland, Texas, in Greater Houston the following day. On December 19th, 4 of the members checked into an Econo Lodge motel in Farmers Branch, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, under assumed names. They decided to rob an Oshman's Sporting Goods in nearby Irving. On December 24, 2000, they entered the store, bound and gagged all the staff, and stole at least 40 guns and sets of ammunition, including $70,000 from the store's safe. An ex-employee in her car outside the store noticed the commotion inside and called the police. Irving police officer Aubrey Wright Hawkins responded to the call and, upon arriving at the scene, was almost immediately ambushed, being shot 11 times and run over by the escaped convicts as they fled the scene. Hawkins died at Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas shortly after his arrival. After Officer Hawkins' murder, a $100,000 reward was offered to whoever could snare the group of criminals. The reward climbed to $500,000 before the 6 surviving members of the group were apprehended. The murder of Officer Hawkins galvanized the law enforcement community and the public. His death was a tragic reminder of the danger these fugitives posed. Law enforcement agencies, from local police to the FBI, launched a nationwide manhunt. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice and the U.S. Marshals Service led the effort, mobilizing hundreds of officers and utilizing every available resource. Authorities set up roadblocks and conducted searches across multiple states. They followed every lead, no matter how small, but the Texas 7 remained elusive. Their ability to blend in and their willingness to use violence made them a formidable challenge. The fugitives constantly changed locations, from motels to RV parks, maintaining a low profile while planning their next moves. Their survival depended on their ability to stay one step ahead of the law. For the officers on the trail, it was a relentless pursuit. The pressure was immense, knowing the fugitives were armed and dangerous. Each day brought new leads and new frustrations. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A tip from a concerned citizen in Woodland Park, Colorado, provided the crucial lead. The Texas 7 had been spotted in an RV park, laying low but still a significant threat. Following an episode of the television show America's Most Wanted that first aired on January 20, 2001, several people phoned in possible sightings of the suspects at the Coach Light Motel and RV Park in Woodland Park, Colorado. They had apparently tried to pass themselves off as missionaries, playing loud Christian music within earshot of their neighbors. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office, Colorado, and Teller County Deputies SWAT team found Garcia, Rodriguez, and Rivas in a Jeep Cherokee in the RV park, before following them to a nearby gas station where they were arrested, and later found Halprin and Harper in an RV. Halprin surrendered peacefully, but Harper was found dead after a standoff, having shot himself in the chest with a pistol. The surviving 4 were taken into federal custody. On January 23, 2001, the FBI received information that the remaining 2 escapees, Newberry and Murphy, were hiding in a Holiday Inn in Colorado Springs, Colorado. A deal was brokered with the 2, allowing them to make live TV appearances before they were arrested. Media was tipped off when a guest asked KKTV chief photographer Mike Petcash and reporter Jeanette Hines why he couldn't get to the hotel. The pair drove to the hotel, finding it flooded with law enforcement. In the early hours of January 24th, a local KKTV television anchorman, Eric Singer, was taken into the hotel where he interviewed the 2 by telephone while on camera. Newberry and Murphy harshly denounced the criminal justice system in Texas, with Newberry adding, "The system is as corrupt as we are." The capture of the Texas 7 marked the end of a harrowing chapter, but it was only the beginning of a profound reckoning. The aftermath of their escape left an indelible mark on the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, the families of their victims, and the American prison system. In the wake of the escape, the Texas Department of Criminal Justice launched an extensive internal investigation. How had 7 dangerous men orchestrated such a successful breakout? The answers revealed critical vulnerabilities in prison security and oversight. The investigation uncovered lapses in security protocols, insufficient staff training, and outdated equipment. In response, the TDCJ implemented sweeping reforms. Security measures were tightened, including enhanced surveillance systems, more rigorous staff training programs, and stricter protocols for monitoring inmate activities. These changes were aimed at preventing another such escape, ensuring that the lessons learned from the Texas 7 would lead to a safer, more secure prison environment. The Connolly unit in particular underwent significant upgrades to bolster its defenses. For the families of the victims, especially the family of Officer Aubrey Hawkins, the aftermath was deeply personal and painful. Hawkins was murdered by the Texas 7 during a robbery while they were on the run. His death was a devastating blow to his family and the Irving community. The Irving community rallied around Hawkins' family, honoring his sacrifice and remembering his service. Memorials and tributes highlighted the profound impact of his loss, reinforcing the human cost of the Texas 7's actions. Justice was swift and severe. The captured members of the Texas 7 were tried for their crimes, including the murder of Officer Hawkins. Each faced the death penalty, and by the end of their trials, all were sentenced to death. These sentences underscored the gravity of their actions and the societal demand for accountability. The sentences brought a measure of closure to the victims' families and the public, but the journey of the Texas 7 continued to influence discussions on prison reform and criminal justice. Experts in criminal justice reflected on the broader implications of the Texas 7 escape. Their breakout highlighted systemic issues within the prison system, sparking debates about inmate management, prison conditions, and the balance between security and rehabilitation. The case prompted legislators to consider new policies aimed at improving prison security nationwide. Increased funding for prison upgrades, better training for correctional officers, and reforms in inmate rehabilitation programs were all part of the broader response to prevent future escapes. As we close this chapter, we remember the lives impacted and the lessons learned. The Texas 7 escape is more than a tale of crime and punishment. It's a story of transformation, resilience, and the enduring pursuit of a safer, more just society. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Stay tuned for more stories that uncover the depths of the human spirit and the relentless pursuit of justice.